A stranger warned your soulmate to stay away from you. Then revealed who you really are. My beloved child, listen carefully, because what happened when that stranger approached your soulmate was far more unexpected than anyone could have imagined. Your soulmate thought it would be an ordinary conversation, a few passing words that would disappear with the moment. But then the stranger looked directly at them and said something that instantly changed the atmosphere. You should stay away from that person until you understand who they really are. Your soulmate froze. Not because they believed the warning, but because the stranger spoke with a strange certainty, as though they knew a chapter of your story that had never been publicly told. Don't skip, because the warning was only the beginning. Your soulmate immediately wanted answers. Why should they stay away from you? What could possibly be hidden beneath everything they already knew? The stranger remained quiet for several seconds before revealing something completely different from what your soulmate expected. They weren't describing you as someone to fear. They were describing you as someone people had repeatedly misunderstood. Someone whose silence had been mistaken for weakness, whose distance had been mistaken for indifference, and whose strength had been built through moments nobody else had witnessed. Suddenly, the warning sounded less like an accusation and more like a test. Stay till the end, because your soulmate was about to discover why the stranger deliberately chose those shocking first words. Then came the sentence your soulmate could not forget: if you stay close to them, you need to understand that they are not the person everyone assumes they are. That changed everything. Your soulmate leaned closer, expecting some unbelievable secret, and the stranger began connecting details that seemed impossible for an outsider to know. They spoke about the way you notice things other people overlook. The way you can remain calm while carrying questions nobody realizes you are carrying. The way you have learned to protect your future without explaining every decision. But there was something more. Something huge is waiting for you, because the stranger claimed there was one quality inside you that even your soulmate had not fully recognized yet. According to them, you were standing at the edge of a major personal transformation. The version of you people thought they understood was only the beginning. Your soulmate suddenly remembered every conversation, every unexplained pause, every moment when you seemed to know exactly when to step forward and when to remain silent. Pieces started connecting. What if the stranger had noticed something your soulmate had been sensing all along? Don't skip now. The strangest part was still coming. Your soulmate finally asked the question that had been building from the first second: who are they really? And for the first time, the stranger smiled. What they revealed next completely reversed the meaning of the warning. I told you to stay away, the stranger explained, because I needed to know whether someone else's opinion could change what you already knew in your heart. Your soulmate went silent. It had been a test of perception. The stranger wanted to see whether uncertainty could erase everything your soulmate had personally observed about you. Then came the revelation: you were not hiding some terrible identity. You were becoming someone stronger, wiser, and far more determined than people around you had predicted. The stranger had noticed that your choices were beginning to align towards something bigger, a new direction, a new confidence, a future that could surprise even those who thought they knew your limits. And your soulmate suddenly understood why your presence had always felt difficult to explain. You were never meant to fit neatly inside somebody else's assumptions. But wait. Stay till the end, because one question remained unanswered. How did this stranger know so much about you in the first place? Your soulmate asked exactly that. The stranger's expression changed, and their next words made the entire conversation feel different, because this isn't the first time I've heard about them. And what they were about to reveal next would explain why your name had entered a conversation you never even knew was happening. Something changed in your soulmate the instant those words landed. This isn't the first time I've heard about them. Suddenly, the stranger was no longer just someone offering an opinion. They knew something. Your soulmate stepped closer and asked, "Who has been talking about them?" But the stranger didn't answer immediately. Instead, they said, "Before I tell you, understand this, almost everyone who mentioned this person made the same mistake. They judged what they could see without understanding what was happening underneath." Don't skip, because your soulmate was about to hear a version of your story they had never heard before. The stranger explained that your name had surfaced through completely unexpected conversations, not because you were chasing attention, but because something about your character kept leaving an impression. People remembered how you responded when situations became difficult. They remembered that you didn't always explain yourself. They remembered moments when walking away would have been easier, yet you quietly chose patience. And then the stranger revealed the first major truth: some people had created an image of you based on incomplete pieces. Your soulmate had heard pieces of that image too. But now, for the first time, someone was telling them that almost everything they assumed might be missing the most important chapter. Then the stranger said something even more surprising: the person you think you know has been protecting a future nobody else can see yet. Your soulmate couldn't immediately understand. Protecting what future? From what? The stranger explained that sometimes a person becomes quieter not because they have nothing to say, but because they have finally learned that every plan doesn't need an audience. Sometimes distance isn't rejection, it is clarity. Sometimes transformation happens so silently that people only recognize it after the results appear. Stay till the end, because this is where your soulmate began remembering little things about you differently. Conversations that once seemed ordinary suddenly carried another meaning. Moments when you refused to prove yourself. Times when you remained composed while others misunderstood your intentions. Your soulmate realized there had always been something unusual about the way you handled uncertainty. And the stranger noticed their expression changing. "Now you're beginning to see it," they said. "That's why I warned you to stay away at first. I wanted to know whether you would run because of one sentence, or stay long enough to discover the truth yourself. Something huge is waiting for you," because your soulmate's response surprised even the stranger. They said, "I'm not leaving because someone tells me to. I want the truth." And that was the answer the stranger had apparently been waiting for. Their voice became quieter. "Then you deserve to know what everyone else missed." Your soulmate stopped moving. The stranger explained that who you really are cannot be summarized by rumors, appearances, or one chapter from your past. You are someone still becoming. Someone whose greatest shift may not even be visible yet. But then came a detail your soulmate wasn't prepared for. The stranger said they had heard your name from someone your soulmate already knew. Don't skip. This changed the entire conversation. Your soulmate immediately started searching through possibilities. A friend? Someone from the past? Someone who had quietly observed everything from a distance? The stranger refused to reveal the identity immediately. Instead, they offered one clue. This person knows why you two crossed paths, and they know something about your connection that neither of you has fully understood yet. Your soulmate's heart filled with questions. Stay till the end, because the next revelation wasn't about who you had been, it was about what could happen next. The stranger leaned closer and finally said, "If you want to understand who they really are, you need to know what they chose when nobody was watching." And with that single sentence, your soulmate realized the biggest secret had not even been revealed yet. The stranger lowered their voice, and suddenly your soulmate understood that the next revelation would change the meaning of everything they had just heard. What they chose when nobody was watching, the stranger repeated, tells you more about who they really are than anything people have ever said about them. Your soulmate stayed completely focused. Don't skip, because this was the moment the mystery started turning into something deeply personal. The stranger explained that there had been moments when you could have chosen the easier path, demanded recognition, or tried to convince everyone that they had misunderstood you. But instead, you kept moving quietly. You protected your plans. You learned from disappointment without allowing it to define your future. You became more selective about where your energy went, and people who only saw the surface misunderstood that change. Some called it distance. Others assumed you had stopped caring. But the stranger revealed something your soulmate had secretly wondered for a long time: your silence wasn't emptiness. It was preparation. And somehow, your soulmate had always sensed there was more happening beneath the surface. That was why they could never completely forget you, even when nothing seemed to be moving. Something about your presence had remained in their thoughts like an unfinished sentence. Stay till the end, because the stranger was finally getting closer to revealing why your name had reached them in the first place. Then came the twist your soulmate never expected. The stranger said, "Someone once asked me what kind of person they really were, and I didn't answer immediately. I watched first." Your soulmate's expression changed. Watched what? The stranger explained that they weren't interested in rumors or dramatic stories. They paid attention to patterns: how you responded when nobody praised you, how you continued when results were slow, and how you refused to become someone else just to gain approval. That was when the stranger reached a conclusion: people had been measuring you by an outdated version of you. Something huge is waiting for you, because your soulmate suddenly realized they might have done the same thing. They had been trying to understand your present through old moments. But you had changed. Quietly. Gradually. Deeply. The stranger looked at your soulmate and said, "That is who they really are. Not a mystery to fear. Not someone you should blindly idealize either. They are a person becoming more aware of their own worth and direction." Those words mattered. Your soulmate wasn't being asked to believe a fantasy. They were being challenged to see you clearly, to judge you through your choices rather than assumptions. And for the first time, your soulmate wondered whether the real warning had never been about staying away from you. Maybe it was about staying away from the false version of you that other people had created. But one question still refused to disappear: who had first spoken your name to this stranger? Your soulmate asked again, and this time the stranger finally gave them another clue. Think about the person who noticed your connection before either of you admitted it mattered. Your soulmate went completely quiet. A memory surfaced immediately. A conversation from long ago. A person who had once looked at the two of you differently, as though they had noticed something neither of you wanted to acknowledge. Don't skip now, because the stranger saw recognition appear on your soulmate's face and said, "Yes. You're thinking of the right person." Suddenly, everything became connected: the warning, the questions, the stranger's unusual knowledge, even the reason they had approached your soulmate at exactly this point in their journey. But before your soulmate could say the person's name, the stranger interrupted with one final revelation: there is something they never told you about that day. Stay till the end, because your soulmate was about to discover that an ordinary moment from the past had contained a hidden decision, a decision connected directly to you. And once they learned what you had quietly chosen, they would never look at your story the same way again. The memory returned to your soulmate with startling clarity, but now one detail felt completely different. That person from the past had noticed something before anyone else did. Not a secret romance, not some impossible prediction, but a pattern in the way you carried yourself whenever your soulmate was involved. The stranger looked at them and said, "You remember that day because you thought nothing important happened. But something did." Don't skip, because this is where your soulmate finally learned what you had chosen when nobody was watching. There had been an opportunity for you to make yourself look better by revealing something private, explaining your side, or correcting an assumption that had made you seem distant. You could have defended yourself. You could have changed how people viewed the situation with a few carefully chosen words. But you didn't. Instead, you protected someone else's dignity and accepted being misunderstood. Your soulmate went completely silent. Suddenly, certain moments made sense. The unanswered questions, the times you could have explained more but chose restraint, the strange feeling that part of the story had always been missing. Stay till the end, because the stranger wasn't finished. That, they said, is why I needed to know whether you would believe a warning from someone you barely knew. Because they once had the chance to influence how everyone saw you, and they chose not to. For a moment, your soulmate couldn't speak. The original warning, "Stay away from you," now sounded completely different. It had exposed how quickly appearances could shape a decision. The stranger continued, "Who they really are isn't something I can define for you. You have to judge that through what they consistently choose." And your soulmate realized something powerful. Perhaps they had spent too much time searching for one dramatic answer when the truth had been scattered across dozens of small moments. Your patience. Your boundaries. Your refusal to chase approval. Your willingness to move forward even when someone misunderstood you. Something huge is waiting for you, because then your soulmate asked the question that changed the direction of the conversation: "Why tell me all of this now?" The stranger paused. Because they are entering a new chapter, and soon you may have to decide whether you understand the person they are becoming, or whether you only understand the person they used to be. Those words stayed with your soulmate. This wasn't about blindly following destiny. It was about awareness, choice, and whether two people could see each other without letting outside voices write the story for them. The stranger had begun with a warning, but every revelation afterward had quietly challenged your soulmate to think for themselves. Then came the final turn your soulmate never saw coming. The stranger admitted that the person who first mentioned your name had not asked them to interfere, convince anyone, or create this encounter. In fact, you had no idea this conversation was happening. Don't skip. That changed everything because it meant there was no carefully arranged message behind the scenes. The stranger had approached your soulmate after recognizing them and remembering what they had once heard about you. But there was still one missing piece. Your soulmate asked, "What exactly were you told about them?" The stranger looked directly at them and answered, "I was told that one day people would finally understand why they became so quiet, and when that day came, someone important would have to decide whether to meet them with old assumptions or new understanding." Your soulmate felt the weight of those words. Stay till the end, because the stranger then revealed one last clue about the person who had originally spoken about you. They had witnessed a decision you made long ago, a decision your soulmate never knew about. And according to the stranger, once your soulmate discovered what that decision was, they would finally understand why you had stepped back at the exact moment everyone expected you to step closer.